No, here's what I'm comparing. When you have a mob of protesters and they're going into a legislative chamber, whether it's at the Capitol or whether it's in Tennessee, the principle's the same. And if you don't have the same principle response to both of those things, regardless of scale, then you're not principled.
No, listen, the principle is different. They were Tennessee legislators who went into the chamber and admittedly broke the rules of decorum, partly because they were being silenced when they wanted to talk, following the rules of decorum, about gun violence prevention. What happened on January 6th was a bunch of batshit crazy fuckers with guns who killed police people.
Bill Maher brought on Piers Morgan and a couple of woke idiots onto his show, Real Time with Bill Maher. And Bill Maher and Piers Morgan kind of went at it a little bit, but Piers Morgan really exploded on the other two woke idiots here on Real Time with Bill Maher because of the just unhinged and ridiculously woke statements that were being made from these people. Let's get into this clip here where Piers Morgan absolutely shocks this Bill Maher panel, these woke idiots, with this nuclear rant that he goes on. Let's get into this clip here.
Hey, Joe, that was a big story this week. We didn't get to it. Yes, they were protesting because there was a shooting there. They wanted, I think I agree with what they were saying is we need better gun control laws. But these are legislators, and they used a bullhorn inside the well of the Senate of Tennessee, was it? This is state legislature. Yeah.
And interrupted the proceedings, which, of course, when that happened on January the 6th, in a much larger and more violent way, all the people currently cheering on the two Tennessee legislators were the ones who would have been condemning and castigating what happened on January the 6th.
Well, you're not actually comparing.
No,
yeah, that's
crazy.
You actually did just compare.
No, here's what I'm comparing. When you have a mob of protesters and they're going into a legislative chamber, whether it's at the Capitol or whether it's in Tennessee, the principle's the same. And if you don't have the same principle response to both of those things, regardless of scale, then you're not principled.
No, listen, the principle is different. They were Tennessee legislators who went into the chamber and admittedly broke the rules of decorum, partly because they were being silenced when they wanted to talk, following the rules of decorum, about gun violence prevention. What happened on January 6th was a bunch of batshit crazy fuckers with guns who killed police people. Piers, that is not the same.
But Katie, I, like Bill, I agree with what the legislators who were doing the protesting, I agree with them about guns. Everyone knows, I think, in fact, that's why I left CNN. It's nice to be back, by the way, on CNN. I agree with them. Thank you. Thank you.
That's right.
It's been a while. The last time I was on CNN, I was talking about guns. But thank you, Bill. This will probably get me fired all over again. But I just think in the end, you've got to be consistent about the way you view.
But that is a terrible analogy.
Well, they're not the same thing. But the principle
then why
is
bring
the
it
same.
up? It's a terrible analogy.
It's not a terrible analogy, but something that, I mean, if you just want to highlight the hypocrisy of the woke left and of people like Bill Maher and like Bill Maher's panel here with Katie Porter and this other guy, that not Piers Morgan, the other one, if you just think about what happened back in 2020, in the summer of love and the BLM protests and the fiery but mostly peaceful protests, nobody said a word about any of that stuff. I mean, they lost their minds on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, that Kyle Rittenhouse got off and didn't go to jail, but nobody really talked about the fact that they tried to murder the guy for being there. And obviously he was holding a gun, but they tried to murder him. They really did. And they burned down cities. They were looting. It was fiery but mostly peaceful, like the famous clip says. And they don't ever mention that. And yet we still talk about January 6th every day. It feels like every single day when I do these videos, somebody on the woke left brings that up, and it just blows my mind, man. Like it blows my mind that they have that level of hypocrisy and they don't even realize. I mean, do you guys think that they don't realize, or do you think Bill Maher can just see right through this and he realizes the hypocrisy and they just don't care? Do you think Katie Porter just realizes it and just doesn't care? I know some of them have to be just acting as if they don't realize it. They have to know, right? They have to know. There's no way they don't know.
A mob of people going in to stop democratic proceedings is not democracy whether you're on the right or left.
Okay.
The principle.
What I
The
would
principle is I don't think a mob of protesters should go into a legislative building
that's not what they
and
did.
stop the proceedings.
Okay, they should. I agree with.
They were a mob? The two guys were a mob?
No, all the other protesters.
the other people.
No, but here's the thing. These guys are legislators. What I would say to them is, look, I admire your passion. I'm admire that young people your age are in government. I think that's good that you want to be in government and not just oblivious to it. And the issue, okay, we have a valid point, but you're in the legislature now, the legislature.
Yeah.
You don't need the bullhorn. That's for when you're out on the street. You have to modulate. This is what they do on college campuses. We just stop you from talking if we disagree. With a bullhorn or shouting, they have to leave that behind. Now you're inside. You're in
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
the building. You got elected. The way to affect change is write a law, do it that way.
But
the bullhorn was
Well,
for outside.
I think you have a point. I think you have a point about they were in there, they had other opportunities, they can introduce a law. I also do want to say that rules of decorum are often used to silence people who do not have voices. And in this case, we're talking about two younger men, two black men, two people in the political minority in Tennessee. And so we've seen rules of decorum be used over and over and over again in this country as an excuse to exclude people and to silence people. So I think you're right, though, that I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, I so deeply, deeply agree with you about the January 6th and how wrong Piers is to try to equivocate those things.
But I didn't know. So what you were doing was playing politics. I talked purely about a principle of a mob of people going in to stop democratic proceedings.
Let's
shouldn't
stop.
be happening whether it's on the left or the right.
Let's stop digging.
No, I low-key agree with Piers Morgan. I wish it didn't happen because it just gave the left so much ammunition. You know, they, like I said, they talk about it every day. Every day when I do these videos, somebody's bringing it up. And it's just it's so tired for me. But like, I just wish it never happened because what ammo would they have? If that never happened, what the hell would they talk about all the time? That's all they talk about when it comes to so many different things. Anytime you criticize the left for doing something, like you criticize the BLM riots in 2020, they're like, oh, what about J6? And they also use that as ammunition to say how Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, why is Donald Trump a threat to democracy? He hasn't done anything. But J6. So it's just so much ammo for them to use. And I just wish it never would have happened. You know, and people are going to get mad at me for that. People are going to disagree with me. But I do wish it just never happened. And I don't think it's the right way to do things, you know. I just don't. And people are going to get so mad at me for saying that, but I wish it never happened. And I think Piers Morgan is correct here in what he's saying to this Bill Maher panel, and that actions like that should be criticized on the right and the left. And they will not ever criticize it on the left. So it's like, why would I go and criticize my own side, people who are trying to, you know, further my agenda personally, that may be doing it in ways that I don't fully agree with, but why would I criticize them if you're not willing to criticize your side on the things that are exactly the same, if not way worse? Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense for me to do. So if you're going to be extremely hypocritical on every single different topic, why would I try to stray away from hypocrisy myself? It's going to hurt me. It's going to hurt my side. If I start criticizing the right wing for doing things such as J6, and you're not going to criticize the left wing for doing things like the BLM riots, why the hell would why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. It's just going to set my side behind. It's going to set my agenda back. It doesn't make any sense at all. You know, and I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. Do you think that people like Bill Maher and Katie Porter and these sorts of people, do you think that they're lying about not understanding how hypocritical they sound? Because I genuinely think that a lot of them are. I think some of them are stupid enough to be brainwashed enough to believe what they're saying. But I think a lot of them just play a part because they know it pays the bills. And I think it's not, I don't think it's just politicians either. I think it's a lot of media personalities, you know, people like David Pakman and Destiny. They're too smart to not realize the hypocrisy that comes out of their mouth on a daily basis. They're just too smart. I don't believe it. I'm curious to see what you guys think.
I just love that they've been reelected immediately and raised all this money and they're national heroes. Oops. Didn't work.
What do you make of Prince Harry's plan to attend his father's coronation without Meghan Markle? God, why do we give a...
I don't.
Damn.
Who cares, honestly? I don't know who anybody, a singular person who actually cares about that stuff. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Piers Morgan going on real time with Bill Maher and taking on this entire panel of woke idiots. I mean, you could hear the audience. They were pretty uncomfortable. Piers is good at it, though. He made a joke to kind of win over the favor of the audience, but you could hear that Bill Maher's audience they were pretty uncomfortable with what Piers Morgan was saying, and so was Bill Maher. He kept trying to change subjects over and over again, and, you know, Piers Morgan just wouldn't let him get off of that one subject because he had to set the record straight on that one thing. I think Piers Morgan did a great job. I'm curious to see what you guys think about Piers Morgan going on real time with Bill Maher and taking on this entire panel of woke idiots. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole real time with Bill Maher situation.